Hey bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another review, and today I will be talking about No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville, which is a romantic novel. No, it's not. It's horror. What else could it be? This book takes place in modern-day England, and its heroine is Stephanie, a very young woman who finds herself out in the streets after being kicked out of what was supposed to be her home. She's forced to take the cheapest solution she can find and rents a dilapidated room in a rundown house owned by a creepy thug and his even creepier cousin, and Stephanie soon realizes that she is in danger. She has no money, no home, nowhere to go, and she's forced to live in an environment where she might not get out alive from because she starts suspecting that the voices she hears and the things she sees in the corner of her eye are ghosts. So this was the second Neville book that I've attempted to read. I tried reading Lost Girl not too long ago, but it was so unreadable. I had to fight to get through the 20 pages I managed to read before I realized that I don't want to continue. So I was wary as I started this one, but let me tell you, it was good. So good. It was very readable, and I'm not just talking about the language itself. The plot was fascinating. The characters, well, some are despicable, but that's the point, and they were very interesting. I also really liked Stephanie, despite her flaws, but more on that soon. She was such a relatable character. I loved how she reacted to what she thinks might be supernatural. I didn't always agree with her choices, but I understood why she did what she did. And of course, the book was actually very creepy. It was a good horror book. One of the reasons that I read it so quickly was that I just had to know what will happen next. It was a nail-biting experience, and if you're into modern urban horror of haunted houses, then I definitely suggest reading this one. But now, let's get into more details. What I liked most about this book was its twist on the haunted house genre, because despite Stephanie hearing what she can only assume are ghosts or spirits, the really scary thing in this book are not the supernatural element, but the very realistic dangers that she faces that definitely exist in real life. The house owners are the very dangerous kind of people that we, especially women, know exist and know we definitely need to stay away from. The ones that if you cross them, even accidentally, they can hurt you, rape you, murder you, put your entire family and friends in danger. And they were a lot more present in this book than the ghosts. But don't worry if you like the supernatural, the ghosts are there too. In addition, because the book refers to real-life horror, there's also talk about what's beyond the trauma of living through such experiences. The book deals with the aftermath of such horrific events as Stephanie experienced. It tries, and in my opinion succeeds, to bring justice and awareness to the unnamed victims, because there were many victims here. Even the ghosts aren't just ghosts. There were people once. They had lives that were stolen from them, and I really appreciated that. But after giving this book its deserved praises, I do have some words of caution and negatives. And even though there are a few of those, remember that the positives definitely outweigh the negatives in this case. First, this book comes with a trigger warning. It deals with sexual assault, rape, and the kidnapping of women to be sex workers. Even if none of these mistreatments are described in great detail, they're still there, and if you're sensitive to this subject, then maybe this book isn't for you. Second, the pacing of this book isn't really what you'd expect from a regular horror novel. I mean, I already mentioned why it's not your typical ghost story, but another issue in this novel is the fact that it's very, very slow burning. It's one of those cases where you read, and all of a sudden you get this thought of, wait, where are the ghosts? Where's the real danger? Where does the action start? And then you realize you read about half of the book. This is more of a warning than a negative. I think that when you know that you're going to get a very slow burning book, you'll be able to accept it better. And I like the gradualness of this book, how it started so normal and little by little things get worse and worse. However, at the same time, there were many times where I just wish that the story would move on a little quicker. In addition, I also think that the book should have been slightly shorter, just needed a little bit of a trim. Speaking of things that stopped the flow of the book, something that annoyed me at first and then really got on my nerves was the strange choice to start, I think, every single chapter a little bit farther along than where we were and then going back and explaining what happened in the meantime. A chapter would end at point A, but instead of continuing to point B, the next chapter will start at point D, and after a paragraph or two will go back to B and C. And this was throughout the entire book. It was so unnecessary and rather irritating. Once, twice, I can live with that, but not every single chapter. Lastly, it's not really a negative, but I just didn't know where to put that point. Remember I said I really liked Stephanie's character, how even though I didn't always agree with her, I could understand where she comes from? Well, not always. As much as I liked her, also due to her human flaws, at times I just wanted to grab and shake her in order to make her listen to reason. She's not a person who thinks through things. Or at all, at times. Like, your life is somewhat in the hands of a very dangerous thug. Why are you shouting and threatening this man that you will go to the police? He will kill you. You know he will. Come on. You've seen movies in your life, right? She should have been smarter. I mean, I admire her moxie, but you don't antagonize a person who would rather leave no witnesses than risk going to jail. But to summarize, this was a very interesting and scary book. A haunted house with a twist where the real danger mostly comes from the living, where the reality of what happens to some people at certain situation is far more devastatingly scary than the spirits of people. It's a slow burn, but it's kind of like the saying with the frog on the stove. It's just your usual worst until, without noticing, you realize that Stephanie is in such trouble you couldn't even imagine this book will go into. And every time you think that she hit rock bottom, things get even worse. I like the new interesting twist on such a great genre that brings it to more modern reality without undermining the classic tropes of the genre. And at last, I want to thank Adam Neville that dedicated a book to some of the horrific traumas that many women go through and presenting it as a horror story. It's not easy to mix the two, nor is it to present a heroine who is a vulnerable victim and yet not a weak person. And he nailed it. So guys, that was my review on No One Gets Out Alive, a book that actually got a movie adaptation in 2021, but other than the very basic premise, has as much to do with the original as the Shining adaptation. If you've seen the movie, regardless of loving it or not, I still recommend reading the book. Just be aware of the sexual violence toward women that might be too upsetting for some. So bookworms, thank you very much for watching my review. I really hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to my channel for more bookish video, and leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you've ever read anything by Adam Neville and if you have any recommendations. Again guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.